friends? It's another glorious day here in sunny South Florida and Boston.
It's not that cold today.
Not that cold today, good. I am Josh Hirsch, your fellow social media nerd, and with me, as always, my hostess with Moses, Julia Campbell.
Hey, hi. Hi, everybody. Really excited to have you here today. And it's Friday. It's not that cold in Boston. It was supposed to be high of 57. It's 40 degrees right now, but that's like a heat wave compared to what we've been going through and the polar vortex in the rest of the country. We'd love to know where you are watching from. So give us a shout out, write it down in the comments. And we just love to see who's watching and where they're watching from. Today, our topic is going to be how to promote and market a successful nonprofit giving day. And we have a special guest who we're going to introduce shortly. I just have two things that I wanted to say in the beginning. One, well, first of all, let me introduce myself. If you don't know who I am Julia Campbell, and I help nonprofits build their movements and engage their communities using social media and storytelling. And I have my fellow nonprofit social media nerd here with me, Josh Hirsch, and he's the Director of Mission and Communication at Susan G. Komen, Florida. Also, two things. We will be at the Nonprofit Technology Conference in Portland in next month. I can't even believe it's coming up so fast.
So soon.
Yes. Oh my God. And we're going to also be at AFP ICON, the Association of Fundraising Professionals International Conference. That's the end of March. So if you're going to be there, make sure you say hi. We're going to bring some stickers and we have lots of fun stuff planned for our sessions. So just make sure you give us a shout out and say hi.
I definitely think that hour 7 and 10 is going to...
Oh my God. It's going to be legendary.
Yeah. Well, all we're going to say is...
Can we give clues?
Never say die. Never say die.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. So what we need to think about if we want to start giving clues or I now just had an amazing idea, but I'm not going to give it away. Okay.
We have some friends already joining here this morning. We have Val from Cambridge Women's Center is here. We've got Bernie is listening in from Louisville, Kentucky. Ellie is at Xavier College Prep up in Phoenix. We got Ken, a buddy of yours outside of Boston. Our friend Jim Wells down in Fort Lauderdale. We got James from Goshen. Karen's joining us.
Nice.
So we're all over today, eh? Absolutely.
Yay. I love it. I love it. And I'm not touching anything because I break everything. So I'm just going to let Josh be in charge of comments and typing and answering that. The second thing I wanted to say before we introduce our special guest is that we really want to make this broadcast as interactive and as valuable as possible. So make sure that you are asking questions. Feel free to share resources. You know, we don't really want you to just like promote your random blog post if it's not related to anything. But if you think of something that's tied to what we're saying, or if you have a suggestion or question, throw it in the comments and we'll be monitoring them and we can answer them on the fly. All right. So now I'm going to introduce Chris.
Hello.
Hey, this is Chris Strub. He's known as the Giving Day Guy. This is official bio, but I will let him tell you a little bit about himself as well. He has helped nonprofits across the globe raise millions on giving days. And he's also an amazing social media speaker. He's been speaking all across the United States and the world. He spoke at Marketed Live in London. He's speaking at Social Media Marketing World in March in San Diego. He's worked with Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Salvation Army. And I think the most exciting thing is that he has a book. It's called 50 States, 100 Days. I was going to say 50 States in 100 Days. 50 States, 100 Days, the book. And what the book is about, as far as I know, because I have not read the book, to be fair, Chris, and I can't wait to see the movie, which I know is premiering at Social Media Marketing World. It's about how you volunteered with different youth-serving charities across the United States, and you're the first person to live stream and Snapchat in all 50 states. So, welcome, Chris. How are you doing?
Guys, I'm doing fantastic.
Hey.
It's such an honor to be here. We were talking before we came on the air. This is the spot for nonprofits. And I was peeking.
Aww.
I saw just how many awesome people are watching and participating in the comments already. Julie and I were geeking out about all the invites that we sent out. So we're really, really grateful to have an awesome crowd here today. And I can't wait to answer your questions and all the audience questions as well.
Yay. And actually, Josh has experience with Giving Days as well. So everyone, you're really in for a treat. And I have experience as well. I'll chime in where I know I can add some value. So the first question I wanted to ask, Chris, from your perspective, what is a Giving Day? So when we talk about Giving Day and a Giving Day campaign, what is it and how do organizations, nonprofits participate?
Sure. So the most popular giving day in the world is going to be Giving Tuesday. Of course, that's the Tuesday right after Thanksgiving. So a lot of the common folk, the normal people out there know Giving Tuesday as the day when everybody wants to give back to nonprofits. What most people don't know is that there are local and regional giving days taking place in communities all around the United States and around the world year round. Now, most of them are not going to be in that December, January area. But, here now we're really starting to hit that stride where there are these giving days popping up in different communities around the country that last for 24 hours. Now, typically a giving day is going to last from midnight to midnight so that you can say that the giving day is this date. But it's not locked into that sort of format. Sometimes you can have a giving day from noon to noon or from 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. But generally speaking, a giving day is going to be a 24-hour period when nonprofits work together. They work collaboratively to raise as much money as they possibly can from their supporters within their local community. And again, that can be citywide, that can be countywide, that can be region-wide, that can be statewide, right? There's no set definition for a giving day, but we are seeing the rise of the giving day movement around the country as more and more are popping up year after year.
So giving days when Giving Tuesday, I felt was not as much of a collaborative event as it might have been set up to be, right? Voulay calls it the Hunger Games, the nonprofit Hunger Games.
Yep.
But a local giving day, what are some of the benefits? So what are some of the features? So it's who sets up these giving days and how do nonprofits kind of get involved in them?
Sure. Well, Julia, when we talk broadly about social media, success always tends to come when you have a more defined goal.
Completely agree.
So when we say Giving Tuesday, that's such a blanket, such an umbrella, that's such a short tail search term, right, on Google, right?
Yep.
But the riches are in the niches, right? And the success comes in your local community when the message is all about what you're doing, let's say in Louisville, Kentucky. And you'll hear me throughout the context of our broadcast today referencing some of the communities that I've worked in, including Louisville, which you see behind me on the screen. But if you live, say, in Louisville, Kentucky, you're much more likely to care and want to contribute to these organizations that are more meaningful to you on a day that is branded all about Louisville, and all the messaging is about what's happening in this, Northern Kentucky area. And so a giving day really gives your local region or your local community an opportunity to dial it in and say, look, this isn't about the whole world. We're not doing the Hunger Games. We're out here trying to do the best we can for San Antonio, Texas. We're out here trying to make a difference. And I love to think of it as, Julia, I know some of us are parents here that are watching, that game where you're kind of like sending waves, through and you're trying to like bounce the balls up. A giving day for me represents the opportunity for a local community to make a wave on a national and an international scale, right? And what I've seen over the last couple of years is that some of these giving days, especially across the Midwest, there's some great examples of how these giving days are bursting through the national scene by just creating this huge groundswell of support by collaborating and by really focusing on their own local nonprofits during that 24-hour period.
I love the idea of nonprofits collaborating. I don't know, Josh, could you talk about the giving day that you worked on? Was it in West Palm Beach?
Yeah, so we are going into I believe it's our 5th year now of what we call the Great Give. It's here for Palm Beach and Morgan counties. And on average, we have about 500 nonprofits that participate each year. We're raising $1 million plus anywhere from 2 to 3 some years. And I guess it was a couple years ago. It's an interesting partnership as far as the Giving Day itself. It started off by a collaboration between our community foundation for Palm Beach and Martin counties, as well as our local United Way. And they were the driving force really behind it. We've had a technology partner, and when I was with the previous organization with Nonprofits First, we kind of helped vet the nonprofit organization as that central hub. But it's a really great way because it's not about vying for donor dollars. And when I speak to smaller nonprofits, you might not have the capacity to go up against all these major nonprofits. And if you're thinking that I'm just going to put up a tweet the day of a Giving Day, that's not how it works. If you look at the Giving Day from purely a branding communication opportunity, you know there's going to be millions of eyeballs that are on this hashtag for, it could be 30 to 60 days leading up. If you put together a tight communications plan and really look at the way that you could drive forward your message, don't raise any dollars, but just take it as a branding communication opportunity, I think there's a lot of potential there for that.
Yes, actually that segues really closely into my second question, which is why is establishing this marketing strategy so important? And then after that, I think we can get into the steps. Wait, but one clarification that I want. So is this where are people donating on a Giving Day? Are they selecting a local charity? So say I have a local Giving Day, where I live in north of Boston. Do I give to specific charities or do I give to a larger pot of money or both?
Excellent question. So again, there is no sets of rules, right? There's no one set definition for a Giving Day. Most of the Giving Days are going to create this platform, as Josh was saying, that the success really comes in the collaborative nature, where no matter what size your nonprofit is, you're going to be part of that larger conversation, and you're going to be part of this this group of nonprofits to which people can donate. So to answer your question, Julia, no, you're not throwing money into a large pot that's then divvied up. You're donating to your favorite nonprofit. And the magic of the Giving Day is that the sum of all of those donations that are taking place is what accumulates into that larger sum that, the community foundation or the nonprofit council in San Antonio, for example, that larger organization can now hold up that number and say, look, nonprofits around Boston raised $7 million in a 24-hour period. Now, that's not to say that any one organization raised that much money. Of course not. It's really the sum. And this is what's so special about the Giving Day, right? Is it all comes together in that one moment. And one of the questions that Julia had asked in our lead up as we were preparing for this broadcast today was like, should a nonprofit start its own Giving Day? And the answer is, well, probably not, at least not in the context that we're talking, because exactly what we're talking about. The success comes in that collaboration. And what's been so special for me in the work that I've done, Julia, as you were referencing Voulay, who I just love. And if you're watching this and you don't know who Voulay is, you need to get on that right away.
Go to nonprofitaf.com. I think it's not .org anyway.
Yeah. What makes this so special is seeing, and again, I love referencing Give for Good Louisville is one of my favorite examples in Louisville, Kentucky, where they have a big event in the middle of the city at 12th Street Live, where you just see all of these nonprofit executives and marketers and volunteers standing at booths next to each other and just giving each other hugs and high fives. And it's the total opposite of what you'd consider the Hunger Games or the bobbing for dollars. It's really showing how much pride all of these people collectively have in their community during that 24-hour period.
Now, something that's interesting down at the Miami, and I believe it's called Miami Gives or Miami Give Day, they have a very strong community pool of dollars. So they have donors that directly donate to this community pool, and then that bonus pool fund can be divvied up amongst the other nonprofits. So there's the larger organizations that are helping organize it that want, the donors to give to the individual organizations, but also give to this bonus pool. And we've seen success with the bonus pool up here in Palm Beach County and Martin County with our the Great Give. However, Alexis says a Miami Give Day. Hey, that's us. Thanks, Alexis.
Yeah. Hi, Alexa.
But what I think is interesting is that nonprofits sometimes look at Giving Days from the wrong perspective. If they're coming into it and only looking at, here's this bonus pool of dollars, and all we're trying to do is raise money to get our portion of the Giving Day bonus pool, then you're taking the wrong perspective whatsoever. this is a chance to get your message, whether you're a $100,000 nonprofit, $10,000 nonprofit, or a $10 million nonprofit. You need to make sure that you're getting your message out there as many as people as possible. So it's really great, I think, for the smaller nonprofits to be able to leverage this and get out while piggybacking on this all eyeballs on this one message.
I love it. I love it. Yep. And so, Yep. Go ahead, Chris.
Josh, I was just going to say it's amazing to see the real life examples that come to fruition with this too. You know, that I talk a lot, and Julia mentioned how I speak more broadly about social media at different events and stuff around the country as well. That social media is really egalitarian in nature. That, you know, you may have, as Josh is saying, a $10 million budget or a $20 million budget, but on social media, your message is going to be respected and reflected by the quality of what you're putting out there. So,
and there are some people with budgets of $10 million that do a terrible job on social media.
Yes, and there are some people with budgets of $1,000 that do a phenomenal job. And that's what's so exciting when Josh is talking about looking at the hashtag, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about how I use video throughout the day as well. But, you know, just on that hashtag alone, you're able to see some really awesome examples of how nonprofits of all sizes are able to jump into that conversation, really add value, and create something that, most importantly, raises the eyebrows of people. And it's incredible, Julia, to look at the statistics of the percentage of people that are actually new donors during giving days, right? Which is that most important thing that every nonprofit's always looking for. How do we find new donors? Well, create something, be part of something cool like a giving day, and jump in and just own that hashtag and really just take hold of it. And you're going to catch the attention of people that are perusing through the feed and saying, wow, like I've never heard of this Bernheim Arboretum, but their social media strategy is just killer. So I want to learn more, and now I want to go donate.
It's sort of like the theory around voting. The more people that vote, the better representation we get. So the more people that give, the better everyone is. I mean, the better the community is. I completely agree with that. I love that. And I think that small nonprofits might think about a giving day and say, how's it going to benefit me? What's the ROI for us? You know, how can we hold our piece of the pie? But it's about, you know, so much more than that.
And Julia, just real quick before we move on from that point, Josh mentioned the bonus dollars, right? And I think that's another hugely important hugely important point to make, right, is that from a sponsorship perspective, being part of a giving day and sponsoring a giving day is such a great opportunity, because you're reaching not just all of these nonprofits and you're getting onto their radar, but now you're reaching all of the outreach and all of the email lists and all of the social media followings of all of those different organizations. So if you're like the headline sponsor, or you're sponsoring a gift, you know, one of the hourly gifts throughout a giving day, boy, is there a ton of exposure to be had there for your brand. You know, no matter what level you're entering in on, you have the opportunity to have your brand seen in such a philanthropic and such a supportive way. I really can't imagine a better way. And this is why I've sort of chosen this as a career path, Julia, is like, this is as pure and as wonderful as it gets from a sponsorship perspective, from a nonprofit perspective, you know, that collaborative nature. And then also from a donor perspective, you know, you can give, and, you know, we all get, physical pieces of mail all year long or whatever. And it's like, okay, what's special about this? When a giving day comes around, you have the opportunity as a donor to be part of this community-wide thing, to say, you know what, like San Antonio raised $5 million. Well, you know what, we're in Louisville, we're going to go raise $6 million, or we're in Boston, we're going to try and hit $8 million this year. Whatever it is, it's always about trying to be part of that bigger thing that's happening within your community.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get into the meat of it. I have a million more things I want to say, but let's get into the actual meat of, okay, we're sold on this idea. We're sold on it. We're doing it. We're having a giving day, or we're participating in a giving day. What do we need to do to promote it? Because obviously you can't have a giving day if no one knows you're having a giving day, right? So what would you say are the most essential steps to take to get the word out, promote, market to donors?
Sure. So this is where I love to take, again, I don't want to.
This is what you do.
I don't want to take the nonprofit hat off, but people always ask me, Chris, what are the best strategies for nonprofits? And it's like, well, why would there have to be a difference between what a nonprofit is doing and what a for-profit is doing in terms of the marketing, sustainability, and in terms of the long-term benefits of social media marketing, right? I think sometimes nonprofits get a little shy, or they have a little bit of a complex to say like, oh, well, we don't deserve to be in that space like that, but you do, and that's why I love doing this work so much, is teaching some of the same ideas that some for-profit businesses can execute on in a simpler and a cost-effective fashion. And so this gets down to the basics of using sort of episodic content, or using consistent content over an extended period of time to build towards a specific event, right? So for example, the Nonprofit Council in San Antonio is using live streaming video once a week. And it's nothing as sophisticated as the operation that Josh has going on here with all the bells and whistles. But, just take your phone, hold it up, and record and speak to your audience.
Okay.
The key, though,
to build
Julia,
excitement for the Giving Day.
But you also want to, just as you guys do with your show,
Mm-hmm.
you want to try and set out a calendar and set out a schedule that says, okay, this is what we're creating this week. And now your audience knows that they want to come back next week for another installment of that same type of content.
Mm-hmm.
People follow people, and they get attached to people, right? So the people that are watching this right now, they want to come back. They want to see Josh and Julia every week. And then they're like, who's this dude with a yellow hat? Like, what's going on today, right? But it's about that consistency of message, whether you're doing it through a live stream video, or whether you want to create a pattern of content on Instagram, or you want to use your Instagram stories to tell a consistent story from week to week, or it's on Twitter, whatever it is, consistency is really the key message here, right? Is you want to have that strategy, know what message you want to deliver to people, but also be able to deliver it in the lead up to the Giving Day, so that when that day finally does arrive, now everybody says, it's here.
Yes.
Finally, it's my turn to give. And you're not begging and saying, oh, please, like now everybody's actually excited that Giving Day has arrived.
Oh man, you're totally preaching to the choir here. So yes. Oh, sure.
A giving week or a giving month. Some of the Giving Days that I've worked with have open up the opportunity for people to give for several days in advance. I think, guys, that's part of maybe the antiquated way of thinking that a lot of people don't suspect that online giving is really a thing these days, right? But it's become so simple now to break out your credit card and to make a donation that I do think, Bernie, that the added value of concentrating that value into a day.
The urgency.
Yeah. Think about the way that we communicate on social media, right? 280 characters at a time. Or I'm watching an Instagram story that's 10 seconds long, but I'm not even going to watch that whole thing. I'm just going to swipe through, right? Mm-hmm. To ask for someone's attention for a 24-hour period is still a lot. Yeah. So if you try and extend that out over a giving week or a giving month, you're kind of losing by diluting the magic of that concentrated period of time.
Is there another question, Josh?
There is, and sorry about that. I had my microphone off there, guys. We're back. All right. So the other questions we had, another one from Bernie. Do you find that people will just give to an organization or give more if they knew their donations are going for a specific project or need that is not covered within the nonprofit's budget? And what I've seen, I think Bernie, the absolute way you need to do this is you need to convey to your donors and potential donors, this is what we're doing for this Giving Day. This is our goal. We want to raise $10,000 so we can send 10 kids to cancer camp. And by raising those $10,000, these kids who don't have that opportunity will be able to do X, Y, Z. You want to monetize it. You want to put a bow around what you're trying to raise. And if you just say, hey, give to our organization because it's a Giving Day and we want to be able to help people, that's not gonna be successful.
Yeah, I think that's a key part of the messaging that you can also include in the lead up to the Giving Day, so that people know when that day arrives what exactly they are giving for. And Josh, real quick before you guys move on too, Bernie, I would recommend. I know that these two guys, without a guest, gave a great talk about the importance of thanking your donors and explaining where their money is going after the fact. So maybe Josh can throw in the link in the comments or something to that previous episode that you can check out, where that is a hugely important thing that I don't think is unique to Giving Days. I think it's important to mention here, but it's also something that is important to mention across year round. No matter what your purpose of giving is, you want to be able to deliver that after the fact value to your donors to keep that wheel turning.
And more than just thanking the donor afterwards, you need to be thanking in the moment. You need to have your stewardship plan where, okay, a gift came in, and within the first 5 minutes of that gift, because most of these giving days, the way the technology is set is the organizations have a live real-time page where they can see their donors come in as well as their contact information. If you don't have a, we'll call it a stewardship team, that is picking up the phone, making that call, sending out that email, because yes, the system will automatically generate an email, but they need to get a personal call or a touch from you via social or email. And because people are giving via online, thank them online. Create your standard graphics and have like a little thermometer that you're posting to the top comment on your Facebook page. And as it's going up, add those people. If they don't want to be acknowledged, they're going to donate anonymously. But thank people in real time, because a lot of times people will make reoccurring gifts that same day as part of the giving day.
Yeah, so there's a lot of moving pieces here, and I think that it is important to recognize that there are 3 distinct parts of the giving day. There's the lead up and the preparation and the getting excited, which I definitely want Chris to talk more about, like specific tactics. Then there is the actual 24 hours, which, Chris, do you stay up for the 24 hours?
It's funny you say that, Julia, real quickly. I always negotiate into my contract a small period of sleep, because doing 24 hours is real
crazy. Tough. Well, I mean, I've done it because I've had 2 kids, but anyway, Josh has done it too. But okay, so we'll talk about that.
It's coming for me, Julia. Trust me. Someday I'll have kids as well. But
there's the preparation period. There's the actual 24 hours, which is literally like a telethon. Like you just, and then there's the follow-up period, which I think is super important. But for our purposes, I want to focus. I think the follow-up period is probably, I mean, they're all equally weighted. But I want to talk about some specific tactics. Like you were saying, have a Facebook Live every week, be present. How long do you think you should be promoting your giving day up until the fact? And then what should each individual nonprofit be doing leading up to the giving day?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Julia, to answer the first part of your question, that it's going to be individualized based on the region or the giving day that you're in, when exactly that giving day is, right, and how it plays on the calendar versus some of the other major things that your organization has going on. Okay. And when you're taking into consideration, when you're drawing out your year-long calendar as a nonprofit, let's say a CEO or an executive director, you may want to make sure that you're not planning your annual gala, 2 weeks before a giving day, something like that. So you want to take into consideration the giving cycles. I think a good rule of thumb is probably going to be between 2 and 3 months is probably long enough, but not too long to get people burned out. And that's why we have a lot of these training sessions. I'll be back in San Antonio 2 weeks from today, giving a training session for the Big Give about 5-6 weeks in advance. Okay. So I think that's a nice rule of thumb to look at is going to be that 6 to 8 week period, maybe. But again, it's definitely longer than 6 to 8 hours or 6 to 8 days.
Good point. That's a good point. And the point the question that I get this question all the time. And I give a very similar answer, whereas it depends, but you should also be building your community up every single day, all year round. So it doesn't start. If you haven't ever been building your community, it's not too late to start, but you can't just launch a giving day into a vacuum, right? So I think that's a really good point to make, that you do have to be showing up and you have to be continually engaging your community and talking to them and letting them know you're there, so that when you do launch this project, they're more receptive to it.
And Julia, I would add that, for some organizations, the giving day is going to be the biggest day of the year. Some organizations will make a large portion of their operating budget based on what they bring in on the giving day. So you have to make that individual determination based on how many sort of giving cycles, if you will, you're trying to extract from your audience, and also maybe when your giving day is positioned throughout the year. Big Give San Antonio is one of the first giving days of the year at the end of March, whereas in Louisville, the giving day is going to be at the end of September. So, if you're in Louisville, you have that question. Do we do another big campaign in the spring? Do we do another big campaign during the holidays? Or do we ask do we position our donors and do we condition our donors to take those dollars and donate them in September? In Louisville, for example, with that Giving Day being in the middle of September, a lot of the organizations actually encourage their biggest donors to give during the Giving Day. And why is that? It goes back to what Josh was saying before about these bonus pools, right? That they're not just shooting for the bonus pool, but when you have a proportional match or you have the opportunity to win an extra couple $1,000s, then of course it makes sense to bring in those donations on the Giving Day, in addition to the additional earned media exposure and trying to work your way up the leaderboards. You do have those lottery tickets, if you will, and I always get yelled at for using the
leaderboard.
I'm not supposed to say lottery ticket, but that additional opportunity to earn some additional funds based on the available match opportunities that are there.
Molly had a really good point, and it goes back to not just your content strategy for the Giving Day, but all year round. The essential step, she says, is invest your time in telling your story in order to be successful and stand out. And it's once again not just for the Giving Day. It's not the 60 days leading up, but that content strategy should be what you have all year round. Here at Coleman, Florida, that is first and foremost our focus. I want people to understand who we are and what we're doing in the community. There's a lot of misconception that I'll get phone calls from a woman who's in distress, just met with a doctor. They say, you need to have additional tests. We think you might have XYZ. I know you have no insurance. Call Susan G. Komen. So we'll get those phone calls of these women wanting to schedule procedures, and I have to let them know that we don't do that. What we do is we are a conduit for care here in the community. I'm able to connect them with other direct service organizations that do that. So I'm telling the story of our grantees that are helping these men and women, these survivors and co-survivors that are battling breast cancer. You need to have this mindset all year round as part of your communication strategy, and not just for your Giving Day. So great point, Molly.
I love it. All right. So let's get to, unless you want to add anything about pre-Giving Day, but I want to get to the Giving Day itself.
Rock on.
Do you want? Okay. So it's midnight. You launch it. What do you do to launch with a bang, and how do you keep up momentum all day?
So
24 hours rather than all day.
We mentioned we're not talking about the precursor anymore, but that stroke of midnight, we've worked towards that now for weeks and months now that people know that it's here. In Louisville last year, we actually went live on Facebook right at midnight. Because we know that there are, just as we were talking about with the audience that's here today, right? That maybe not everyone in the community is going to be watching at this moment, but we want to, and Julian, we were talking a bit about Mark Schaefer's book, Known, right? And I love his phrase, alphas, right? We want to activate our alphas. We want to wake people up and say, you know what? We're here with you. We're bringing the energy. We're ready to rock and roll. We've got the team from GiveGab upstairs watching all the technology going through, or whatever your platform provider might be. We are here awake. We're ready to bring in the donations. And then another great trick, Josh, to introduce would be these hourly prizes or these semi-hourly prizes.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes there are prizes that are given away to the first donor of $25 or more after midnight, or the first organization that brings in 10 donors after midnight. So when you have these prizes, we call them strategic prizes for a reason. Yeah. They're planned out throughout the day, and they're planned out throughout that entire 24-hour period to make sure that we're activating that donor base at all different hours during the day. So, some organizations will actually make a point to ask their donors to stay up past midnight to donate right away. And what benefit does that have? Well, it's gonna skyrocket your organization up the leaderboard where, okay, now we have that 5 a.m. media hit and we're gonna show the website on TV. Well, which organizations are gonna be at the top for most individual donors and most donations brought in? Well, ours is because we asked our donors to make those donations right at midnight. So there's a bit of strategy that comes into play. And some of it has to do with, when those prizes are available. But from a central perspective, my job as the Giving Day guy, Julia, is to be that nuclear battery that's running for all 24 hours.
The enthusiasm, you're keeping the enthusiasm up.
No,
and you may have. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
It's absolutely true. What we've seen, as you were talking about the prizes, these incentives, as we've staggered them throughout the day, it gives organizations to rally their troops. Say, okay, from 6 o'clock until 7 o'clock a.m., it's the early morning rise. So if we can get the most donations during this time before you go to work, please do so. And then also, if you categorize it by the type of nonprofits, so it gives them even more incentive to say, okay, all education type nonprofits at this time of day, if you go in and make a donation, we have a chance to get an extra $500. It just adds to that gamification component that is inherent in all of us. We all want to compete on some level, whether it's to be at the top of that leaderboard or raise the most dollars for our category. We want to be at the top. It's a really good point that Molly just made. Molly, you're on fire today. She wrote, going live
I wish I could see these comments. I got to go on my phone.
You'll go watch it later. Going midnight humanizes the giving day and shows how the hosts are investing in building up the nonprofits all day long. And that's 100% true. A couple of years ago, you may remember when philanthropy broke the internet. And that was a great day on working with Give Local America when literally you had 50, 60 different nationwide giving days that all went silent around 11 or 12 o'clock. And we started to freak out. We had a war room set up, if you will, at the community foundation, and we're like, shoot, what do we do now? So immediately we went on Facebook Live and we got in front of the situation. We said, okay, here's a situation. And we were like, oh, yay, philanthropy broke the internet. Everyone's so great. We had an 800 number already set up to do like a telethon type giving, so people could still give. They were able to still manage that. Unfortunately, we saw a much lower returns that year because of that inability to give online, but it was still a great success. But you have to have a crisis communications plan just like this. So that's something else that you need to think about when you're putting together your communications plan for a giving day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's so much more, and there's so much more that goes into a giving day than I think what we're really going to be able to cover today.
Right. Well, you're giving a whole full day workshop on it.
Yeah, I get to be sort of I get to hold up the microphone, and Josh, we still got to geek out about tech a little bit too, so let's not forget that. But, I get to hold up the mic and kind of be, kind of the forward-facing face of a giving day. But, with each of these giving days that goes on, there's so many more people involved. There's so much work that goes on behind the scenes. And what Josh mentions there about crisis communications is so critical as well. And there's definitely been a lot of horror stories about, platforms going down. And of course, because you're going to have that big percentage of new donors coming in, you're going to have a ton of questions. And so this gets back to another basic tenet of social media management, which is, it's great to celebrate and to show off all of the examples of the great things that organizations are doing. But you also need to pay at least equal attention and keep your ear to the ground to the people that are tweeting stuff like, oh, I'm on the website and I can't get this to work. That's people holding up dollar bills saying, we want to donate to you. And if you don't have someone paying attention to those sort of tweets and using some careful social listening, and that can go beyond using the hashtag, right? There's many more platforms that allow you to keep an eye on what's happening locally, looking at different search terms that aren't just, hashtag give for good Lou, whatever it might be. You got to make sure that you're scooping up every last voice that's out there. And you can definitely do that through social media listening tools.
That's a great point.
Love that.
You need to have a dedicated communications team from the organization standpoint that's hosting the giving day. Not necessarily from the nonprofits. The nonprofits are going 10 million directions that day, but you need to have a dedicated social listening person, someone who's just sitting there engaging, creating this customer service, because once again, it's an online
customer service.
People are wanting to give by methods online, and if there is an issue with your technology, you need to be upfront right away addressing that. And as Chris was saying, it's not just listening to the hashtag, but create a dashboard. And I'll use Hootsuite for example, because Hootsuite's a great listening dashboard. It may sound silly, but create a separate stream of each nonprofit that's participating. And you should know by leading up to it who are the most active on social. And they're the ones that you want to be promoting their content, because once again, it's about a community-wide collaboration. And as the host organization, you want to build up those other nonprofits so other people can invest in those organizations.
And that's why, Josh, just real quickly on this point, that's why it's so critical for the central organization, right? And there's different phrases that we can use, whether it's the community foundation or the council, whoever is organizing the day needs to really be vocal and really be visual about pushing that hashtag, because when people use the hashtag in their communications, whether it's on Instagram, even on Facebook, or especially Twitter is one of my favorites, right? When people use that hashtag, it becomes so much easier to be able to accumulate that data and be able to, at the end of it all, display the total impact of the communications. And so something as simple as creating a little, using a board like this, right? Like having it up in lights, or
that's so smart.
Putting it on your shirt,
putting on your shirts, putting on your hats.
Every single person that comes to this training in San Antonio in a couple of weeks will need to have burned into their brain that Giving Day hashtag is Big Give 2019, and not Big Give 19, not Big Give SA, not Big Give San Antonio. No. You need to know exactly what the hashtag is, so that, again, both from a customer service perspective, we can actually hear people's concerns. But then from a reporting perspective, we can go back the day after, 2 days after, and say, look, this is the overall impact of Give for Good Lou. And the more waterproof your strategy is with that hashtag, the more you're going to be able to show and kind of, my girlfriend hates when I do that, when I kind of show the muscles off because I don't have any muscles, but the more you're going to be able to demonstrate the overall impact of your Giving Day, because people have known to come together to that voice.
Okay. Awesome. This is amazing. Okay. So we are at 12:41. I don't usually like to go longer than 45 minutes because we all know we don't have attention spans. But this has been amazing. So I think what I would want to wrap up with a couple of things, but you kind of gave us one of your top 3 tips, which would be make sure the hashtag is burned in everyone's brains, branding with the hashtag. So do you have 2 other essential tips and like nuggets of information for nonprofits that are thinking about embarking or organizing a Giving Day?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Julia, I think I would go back to using live video as sort of the starting point from your strategy. And I want to go back to what Josh was saying a second ago about customer service again, right? That using TweetDeck or a tool like that to execute on social listening, I want to be really respectful to some of the organizations that are running a Giving Day with maybe just a staff of 2 or 3. Right. That in Louisville, we have the staff at the Community Foundation that is really well equipped to have 10, 12, 14 people in the war room. And it's great. Wow. They create this exquisite, the whole staff. I mean, this is what they work towards year round. But in other places, you might have a staff of maybe 2 or 3. And so, Josh, what I would recommend is make Facebook Live your central location. If you can only be in one place, be on Facebook Live. Yeah. And even if you need to be on Facebook Live much longer than you think, and Julia just made the point that we don't have the attention span to go beyond 45 minutes, but if you're saying, look, if you have access to me, Josh, I'm running today's Giving Day. If you have a question or whatever it is, come on Facebook Live and I will answer your question. I will get that straightened out.
I love that idea. Right? So live customer service?
Live customer service.
Oh, I love it.
Right. So if you have a question, and then Julia, let's make this the third tip, right? Is you need to make sure that answer is omnipresent on all of your channels. Yes. And so if you're not going to be listening on Twitter during the Giving Day because of resources, then put on your Twitter, pin it to the top of your Twitter page and say, we are live on Facebook all day long. Come see us here. Put it in your email list. Like, if you
put in your email signature or your email autoresponder,
make it abundantly clear where people can get that customer service from you, right? Make it and that's what GiveGab has done a great job of as well, is using like that chat bubble, right, to be able to scale out and make sure that there's always someone available to answer your question. But whatever it is, prioritize the people that are trying to donate to your organizations over everything else.
Yep.
That's the single most important thing that you can do, is keep your ear to the ground and make sure you're listening to the people that want to give, because that is where the money is coming from.
One thing I did want to say is that I want to just expand on what I said about attention spans, because I do like to say that people do have attention spans when something matters to them. Because we've all, binge watched 20 hours of Lost in a row. Maybe that was just me, but
same here.
Bring that back.
I know. Oh, we need to have a whole Facebook Live about Lost and the ending, and but anyway, I think people do. Yeah. It was terrible. You guys didn't like it either?
No one. We've been on this journey on the island and the hatch, and all of a sudden it's like,
oh my God. I'm always afraid to ask people, because if they like the ending, I can't be friends with them anymore. I'm like, I can't be friends with you. Okay, so it's like a deal breaker.
Real quick, Julia, I'm just glad that I wasn't one of the people that watched Lost when it was coming out live, because if I had to wait week after week after week after week for that, I couldn't have handled it. Like binge watching, at least I can be like, all right, that's fine. But anyway, go on.
No, so many hours of my life lost. Oh my God, I can't. So we do have attention spans, clearly, when it's something that is important to us. And I think that's important to point out. But the other thing that I wanted to say, I saw on Giving Tuesday, Feeding America, they had on Periscope, they were live on Periscope on Twitter, and they had a thank you wall. So they just had a camera set up, and they weren't always on. They weren't like performing and juggling and like having performers or something. And it was just a wall. And then every once in a while, a staff member would write a name on a Post-it note and post it on the wall. Awesome. Or would come on to the I watched it all day. I was completely upset. It was amazing. I was obsessed. I loved it. And they would thanks people. And they would say, staff member would just come on every 15 minutes and say, oh, we just got $10,000 from Honda or whatever it was. Thank you so much. And this money's going to go to this. And it was really pretty cool, but it was like you were saying, it was just there all day, and you knew you could interact with them on Periscope all day, but they weren't constantly talking and performing and, doing, it was just a place where they were. And it was really cool. I like that.
I think, Julia, this is a great point to wrap things up on, right? Is that their broadcast, and really, I call myself the Giving Day guy.
Yes.
These broadcasts and this content that we're creating on your Giving Day, know that it's not about you, it's about them. So for me, traveling to San Antonio and St. Louis and Louisville, Kentucky, for me, it's not about what I'm saying, and I find myself talking a lot because I like to talk. But for me, it's really about bringing the microphone and holding it up and giving the participating organizations the opportunity to share their stories. It's also about highlighting those sponsors that have made the Giving Days possible, and it's about highlighting the winners, right? The people that, if you donate $10 and then your $10 turns into $1,000 donation. That's a hugely special and valuable moment, and it deserves to be celebrated. And so when we're using live video and you have someone on your team, and I would encourage you, if you don't want to maybe work with me or one of the people you see here on the video, think of who on your staff has that energy inside them that's going to translate through on video to say, this is the coolest thing that's happening in the state of Kentucky today. And it has to show. And when it does show, you find that people want to share that out and they want to be part of something bigger than themselves. So that's really, to me, what Giving Days are all about, is the fact that for one day a year, guys, and we're not making this big ask, right? For one day a year, we want your attention. We want the attention of every single person in their living room who we know is holding up their phone or watching on their laptop to say, oh, what's this happening on Facebook today? What's going on? This is great. I want to be a part of that. How can I donate? I'm going to donate here. Done.
Yay. Snaps for that. I love that. Let's make giving cool again. Can we do that? Was it cool ever? Let's make it cool. I love that.
Philanthropy is a sexy topic.
I love it. All right. I totally want to end on that. Where can we see you next, Chris? And where can we find you if we want to learn more about working with you?
So my website is strub.com. I have a blog on my website specifically about Giving Day topics. So if you go to Giving Day Guy, rolls right off the tongue there on a Friday afternoon. .com.
GivingDayGuy.com.
GivingDayGuy.com. And then, of course, on social media, you can find me at Chris Strub. But physically, Julia, you can find me coming up in 2 weeks from today. I'll be giving a seminar in San Antonio, Texas. And then I'll be in St. Louis while you guys are up in Portland. I'll be down in St. Louis giving a pair of training sessions. I'll be speaking at Social Media Marketing World. And then if we connect on social media, I have some more announcements coming maybe later today about other conferences that I'll be at around the Midwest.
Yay. Well, thanks so much. And maybe you and I will get to actually meet in person at a conference sometime, hopefully in this year somewhere, maybe in Boston.
As long as that Patriots parade is gone, then now it's safe for me to come back up to
it's
That's
gone.
Okay.
You hate us because you
I
ain't
can't deal with Julian Edelman, but now we're
Six
good.
rings.
We're fine.
6 rings. Okay. Yeah, I can't even gloat anymore. It's just like embarrassing at this point. So, I mean, what can I say? But thanks everyone for tuning in. I am thrilled to have all of you here. And if you are not in the nonprofit social media Facebook group, Josh is going to put up the link. Make sure you join us there. Tons of great conversations going on, and we'll continue this conversation with Chris over there. Make sure you follow him at Chris Strub. And, we'll see you again on another Facebook Live at some point. So take care. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much. And thanks so much, Chris, for coming on.
Hey, thank you, guys. This was an honor and a pleasure. And thank you to everybody who's watching. Really, really, really appreciate it.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.